Hey, Video Diary. So, I want to talk a little bit today about how I feel I failed. Um, it's not very comfortable. And we're all creatures of subjective recall. But a couple things happened in my life. Early as a parent, I felt, I didn't feel, I was not as responsible as I needed to be, as attentive, and I wasn't as centralized on my kids. I was still caught up in my own dramas of my pain and whatever from my life, and and I'm sure this happens a lot to young parents. I was 25, and it took a few years, but I fell in love with my kids, pledged myself to their well-being and their education. And I still did a lot of bad things in those years. I drank, I smoked, I I was gigging, rock and roll musician, all the things that kind of go along with that. I wasn't doing hard drugs, but I was doing plenty of soft drugs. And and generally, you know, how can I put this? I was allowing myself to have attitudes of entitlement, and I resented how hard I had to work to be a normal like parent, getting your kids to school. I worked construction jobs because I didn't have a college education that afforded me special skills that I could market at higher rates. I knew how to play some Indian music. I knew how to play a little guitar. I had a black belt or two in some martial arts by the time I had my daughter at 25. But, I could get a job in any restaurant, which is what I did. I worked in construction and restaurants. I started my own painting company. I was pushing for my career as a musician. A lot of that was very ego driven, to just about me and my pain and my visions, and it wasn't so much, or I should say, like, not like now. It is so much so about the music, and it has been for a good while. So I'm really grateful to that maturing process inside me, where I let go of me and I started opening up my heart to the ideals. I think it was my education in philosophy. I did a degree in that, and just basic things that you encounter when trying to understand the process of emotions, mind, behavior. You know, you I really corrected a lot of things in myself, and I wanted to. I was sick of myself and sick of all of my partying friends who couldn't get anything going on in their lives, and these were even some people were even successful on other levels. So I wasn't just hanging out in dead end scenes. It's just that people are so full of crap, that, and there's so little game out there sometimes that you really have to be the best that you can be in order to get a piece of the action. and that means not being, drunk or stoned or addicted to cigarettes and smelling bad. You have to be professional, and you have to be able to play really well. So, and it's hard to do those things if you're all messed up all the time and full of shit, and have people chasing you down for child support and fighting with your ex-wife or girlfriend, or and your kids are just lost in limbo. So I had several instances, years of dangers along those lines, until I decided to not be that way anymore. So early on, I got taken into parenthood, kicking and screaming a bit. That's my responsibility. So early on, I was irresponsible. I could say a lot more about that, but let me just say my character failings and mistakes were things that I tried to bring forward to Forrest, to tell him, don't ever be this way, because I tried it. And it led to my inner misery. I'll give you an example. I used to shoplift from supermarkets when I was in my 20s and just being an idiot, a jerk. And I got stopped. I was shoplifting food, but I was stealing. I was taking something. And I'm ashamed of this. But my shame turned me into something that I'd never expected to become, which is a person who sought to find the right. Not the relative right, because I was around people that were like, hey man, it's just food, it's just corporations, have so much food, they're going to throw it out anyway. All that stuff. I was like, we thought we were Robin Hood, but we were just robbing. But the thing that it does to a person is what I'm talking about. Stealing hurts you. It hurts you. It may benefit you in a very short way, that you get that object or that thing, or, in my case, I was lying to myself and society, saying it was food and whatever. And I vowed. No one ever taught me how to make a vow. And you know what that was. But in the core of my person, I vowed not to take something that wasn't given to me. And, that's written in all the great and not so great books. It's just obvious. If you take something that's not been given to you, then the person to whom that belongs, or the entity to whom that belongs, will come back looking for it, and it won't be there. And you didn't earn it. I didn't earn those things. So earning things, not stealing, being honest, that's a tricky one, because you can't always be honest. So sometimes there's deeper conversations that need to be had about that. And Forrest and I would deeply discuss gray areas. We were very Aristotelian in that way. That things are sometimes not so cut and dry, but that somewhere in there's truth that we can feel really strongly about is correct. And that can be ascertained through the process of rationality and kindness. So, I feel like I failed teaching my son somehow that to do what he did was so against the good, the protecting of your body, your being, your mind. I worried about him being an MMA fighter because I didn't want I didn't want him to have any brain injuries. I know a few of fighters who they're slow, like to speak, they have difficulty putting a thought out. I feel that's from getting punched in the head a lot, and we spoke about that. But the ethics of training and also bringing that training to other people, making people that, let's say, feel not so strong feel much stronger. Elevating everybody, not just yourself. So I used to tell him that, like, I had a baton in my life. If he was willing to accept it, he could grab that baton and just go a little further. Not do some of the stupid shit that I did. I know there's other parents that just feel the same way. And maybe do some of the awesome things that I got to do. Maybe that's what hurts me most as a father, is that he was able to shut down or shut off that voice of love and conscience and reason that was like the foundation, or I thought was the foundation. So you see that ripped away, or maybe was never there, or perhaps heroin is stronger than all that good addiction. Or maybe I'm missing the point. But that I did not protect him is always just going to be part of this for me.